This Madeline recipe is one of my favorites. I absolutely love it. It's light, delicious. You can make the mixture ahead, and it's a classic kind of French pastry, so it is. These are the little molds that we use in the restaurant in the cookery school. They're like little paws. And this recipe I'm going to share with you, I'm going to show you how to prepare them in a moment, is from this lady chef called Leah Leinster. That's her there. So she's a chef in Luxembourg. I worked with her for 3 months, and then I went away. I worked in a stage, and she was a great influence on my career, to be honest with you. She had a 1 Michelin star restaurant, and this is her recipe. What gives this recipe so much beautiful flavour is brown of the butter. Honestly, it's such a simple recipe, but we know we have great butter in Ireland. So I'll just recap the recipe, okay, because I've scaled it down. I had to write it out, and I'll obviously post the recipe. So 160 grams of just regular salted butter, okay? 50 grams of flour. You can do this with gluten-free flour, but I'm using some plain flour. 5 egg whites. I'm going to separate the eggs in a moment. 160 grams of icing sugar, and then we have 70 grams of ground almonds. So that's the recipe there. It's very, very simple. First thing we do is we brown our butter. So in a deep saucepan, this is probably the most boring thing you're going to do, because the key into this, actually I'll leave this bowl here where you can see it, is you need to keep whisking it, because it's called a beurre noisette, which is like a brown butter, beautiful with fish, but this is what gives it its wonderful, wonderful flavour. So whenever we do this in the cookery school, the students make it, but everyone's is a little bit different. Some of them brown a little bit too much, some of them are a little bit nervous about not browning it enough, because it can burn, definitely, for sure, it can burn. I picked a nice big saucepan, so you're going to see this changing very, very quickly. So I'm going to let that just boil away there for a moment. Meanwhile, I can separate my eggs. So 5 eggs, we're going to separate the whites in here, and then I'm going to use the egg yolks. I'm going to show you a lovely recipe for a creme brulee just on my Instagram account over the next couple of days. So we'll just move them out of the way there. So just nice, good quality assured eggs. So you separate them, you can put them through your hand if you wanted. This is the way I suppose my mother would have shown me. And I suppose that's where I got the love of food and baking. One of the first things I did was make flapjacks, shortbread, apple tarts. It was far from a Madeline now that I was reared, and I can tell you that. But it is a beautiful, beautiful recipe, this, and I know a lot of people have been asking for it. We put a poll up on my Instagram account, and 98 people wanted to see the recipe. I'm not sure about the 2% that didn't. I'm a bit disappointed in that, but anyway, I'll get over it. I'm going to whisk this. So if we just look in here, it's not ready yet, but see the way it's just melted. So there's absolutely no flavour. Well, there is flavour, but wait till you see when you brown it, the difference in flavour. So our 5 egg whites. This is the last one here. So I don't like waste. It's not because I'm from Cavan, but I really, really want to use up them. So I'll show you a lovely creme brulee over the next day or two, and it's a really beautiful creme brulee. Okay, let's concentrate in here, because it does change very, very quickly. So we whisk this here, and a nice deep saucepan. So I'm using the gas here. Usually in the induction hob I keep it up at full, so I do. Keep whisking it. I'm using my balloon whisk here, and it's going to go quiet now in a moment, and you'll see it foaming up. And this is where you have to be really, really careful. This is what we call a beurre noisette, a brown butter, and this is what gives it so much flavour. And you know, our butter in Ireland, it's the grass. It's just the best, I think, in the world. So we have a lady who does breakfast, Marie Madeline, and she makes the most beautiful Madeline. So we bake them fresh for our guests every morning. So she would do maybe 5 or 6 times this recipe. Now, getting a little bit quiet, let's just watch this. You're going to keep whisking. You're going to see this changing really quickly. Just watch it, it begins to foam up. It's gone quiet now, look at that. Okay, so if you don't keep whisking, it will continue to cook at the bottom, and it will actually burn, to be honest with you. So I just know by the look of it now, see the way it's beginning to kind of change right there in the middle. I just wanted another little bit, and that's good. I'm happy with that. Okay, be fast, don't leave it in the saucepan, because if you do, what's going to happen, it's going to continue to cook, and I'm going to show you this now. Look at that, see that lovely sediment? That's where the flavour is. It is so delicious. Honestly, the flavour there is fantastic. So, you smell it. You see it. I would do that probably 20 minutes before you're going to make this recipe. Really important. So I have already one done. Here's one we made earlier. I haven't used that line for a while. So see all that sediment? So that's your mixture there. So that's the kind of that lovely kind of like that flavor, the nut butter. That's where we get it from. Okay, this could not be easier. I'm going to just remove this. We're going to just focus in here. 5 egg whites, ground almonds, plain flour. You can sieve it, I don't. So just regular flour in there, and then some icing sugar. Okay, so that gives a lovely kind of a smooth finish to the actual Madeleines. Now this is the cold brown butter, so please remember that you have to scrape out. Look at all this lovely sediment. See that there? Scrape all that out. Don't waste that. And don't worry, like if you brown the butter and you forget about it, you know, and it's kind of sets, just warm it up either in the microwave for a couple of seconds or else in the oven. Or in the pot, it doesn't really matter. Now, we're gonna put our balloon whisk. So I actually have some of this mixture made. I made this yesterday evening, so normally we'd make it a day ahead to let it rest. And it will keep really, really well. Okay, turn it on a low speed just to start with. And then we'll turn this right up. So we have our icing sugar, plain flour, 5 egg whites, the brown butter in there, and the ground almonds. Really, really important. So I'm just going to let this beat for a moment. Full speed. So there's no raisin agent in this, it's plain flour. Some recipes put baking powder into it, I don't, but you can of course. And then what I usually do is you can cover it in cling film and pop it into the fridge in that bowl, but it will take up a lot of room in your fridge. This is the mixture I made last night. So this is half the mixture, and I'll tell you why. I already have 12 baked off, because it takes 12 minutes to bake them off in the oven for the Madeleines. Okay, so that's it there. I just took it out of the fridge literally 15-20 minutes ago. We're going to put it into a piping bag, and they're blue. So say if that fell into food, you're going to see it. But before we pipe, I want to show you how to prepare the actual tin. Now this is the way we do it. So we get a little bit of melted butter and a little bit of flour. So I have some plain flour here. Now you can use the non-stick spray if you want to, but this is the way Leah Leinster used to do it. So you brush this here with some melted butter. I already have one done in the fridge because it needs to firm up and set, the butter that is. And there's nothing nicer than freshly baked Madeleines. They are a thing of absolute beauty. A little bit of flour. So you're just sieving it there. It's beautiful. I'm baking here and I can hear the birds singing outside. There's something really, really peaceful about that. And then what I do, just watch this. Just knock that out so there's not too much flour. Put that into the fridge. I have one done. So this is it here already, and you can leave it for about maybe an hour or so. It doesn't really matter. So that's it already done there. Lots of butter, flour. I don't want too much flour. It gives a lovely crust. Okay, we're going to pipe these. So when you're filling a piping bag, kind of open it out. You can spoon it in. It doesn't really matter. This recipe is foolproof. It will make 24 Madeleines. I already have 12 done. So we're using a spatula. So this is the mixture that I made last night. I wouldn't bake them straight away after you make the mixture. You know, always let it kind of rest. That's really important. But I think this is a beautiful recipe, I really do. And she was a great influence on my career. And she used all Irish beef and Irish lamb. She is in the small little village. Her restaurant called Frisange. Not much bigger than Black Lion, but it's right on the French Luxembourg border. So she's a 1 Michelin star restaurant. So it was my first Michelin star experience working in the kitchen there. But she was brilliant to me, absolutely brilliant. And then she came over and stayed in my house in Black Lion, and she could not get over the flavour of our cream, our milk, our butter, our dairy. She said it was the best in the world. Not nice praise. Okay, just watch the technique. When you're piping, everyone, you squeeze from the top and you hold in the middle, just like this. So half fill them. So the mixture is nice and runny. Then give it a little twist. You can spoon it in, as I say, but these piping bags make life very easy, so they do. that's the brown butter that's going to give the flavour. You can add in cinnamon. You can add in the likes of some vanilla extract, some orange zest, and some lemon zest into it if you want to. So make sure you don't waste any. This will make exactly 24. Quality control. I approve. This goes into the oven. The oven is preheated at 190 for 12 minutes. But I already have a tray done, so I'm going to show you this here. So it's a fan oven. So I took these out about maybe just before I started the video, and I just want to show you. And usually what I do is I get a spoon and I try to remove them with a spoon so they're still warm. That's perfect. So there we go. Now they're coming out perfect. Sometimes they can stick, so make sure you get the butter. Yeah. There we go. Lovely. And I just want to break into one because these are lovely and soft and moist, and these will keep for about 2 or 3 days. Trust me, they won't last. It's warm. And just break into one, and there we have them. Oh my god. It's the brown butter. It really is. Just arrange them. They're lovely just out of the oven. Served with some ice cream. They're so good. It's the brown butter. It really is. You can dust them with a little bit of ice and sugar if you want to. Only if you want to. It doesn't really need it. Keep them in an airtight container, and they are beautiful. So that's my Madeline. I have to again acknowledge and thank Leah Leinster, a wonderful chef and a great friend of mine. And remember, the key is the good Irish butter around it. So that's my Madeline mixture, and you can pipe them into little cupcakes if you want to. Try and get these tins, they're worth doing. So enjoy this. So I'm away off to finish them off. Happy cooking, everyone, okay?